There are issues and problems in your life that you want to break away from and feel like you can't. Do you wonder, how can I be free from these issues that have destroyed my life? Well, my friend, I have the answer. Bible Way Hibner Memorial Church of God in Christ presents Chain Breakers, this and every Sunday at 9 a.m. here on WHYL.
From the L.B. Smith Ford Lincoln Studios, Oldies 102.9 is WHYL Carlisle.
It's time now for the Real Estate Radio Guy with real estate broker John Rainville. For the next hour, you'll learn everything about national real estate topics, trends, and news revolving around Central PA. It's sponsored by GSF Mortgage Corporation, EnviroQuest Inspections, and SearchHomesInPA.com. And now, here's the Real Estate Radio Guy, John Rainville.
Good morning. What a hot and humid, balmy day. You can cut the humidity out there this morning, can't you, Kingsley?
It's a little warm. It feels like there might be some rain in the forecast. A little bit, but hey, just a little, keep your fingers and toes crossed today. I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple friends of mine that are getting married today, Brandy Spots and Kevin Krieger. So keep the fingers crossed. They have an outside wedding, so hopefully all goes well with them.
Congratulations to them. So, we got an exciting show today. We've got Ryan Tomarchio is going to be coming on the show. He's the franchise owner of an Assist2Sell in central Pennsylvania.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, and he's going to be telling us how they work because, people have questions, it's very interesting. I was with him yesterday and learned a lot about what they do. And we're going to let him tell us that. So what else do you have on the agenda today? I'm not sure where Waldo is today.
I didn't put my GPS tracking on his unit, so we're going to have to maybe actually do a little bit of investigative work today to figure out where he's at.
Right.
So nothing going on there. Rates, of course, before the holidays, have ticked up. Market, everybody, goes into a turmoil. Oh my God, the market's going to be closed down for so many days. What's going to happen? So everybody basically works a half a day on Friday, and the market goes crazy, and the rates shoot up for a couple of days. But don't worry, they'll be back down after the holiday.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties this morning, folks. So we're actually broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube from my phone because my laptop didn't want to find the camera today.
One step forward, two steps back.
I think
is that how it works?
It wanted the weekend off.
It should be a 5-day weekend, which, by the way, we got to talk to our management to figure out why we didn't get this weekend off.
Because Big Dog did not want to. No, he didn't. No. Well, good morning, Ryan. Are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here, John.
Fantastic. So Ryan, Kingsley, and I are here, and we, excited to hear about Assist2Sell. And what were you telling me yesterday? How much in commissions has the company saved?
It's actually saved $800 million since 1987.
That's a few dollars. I could use some of that savings.
And that's in commission dollars that you've actually saved consumers. That's a huge number. And so you're located over in Elizabethtown, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
But you service all of central Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Nice. So Kingsley and I have some questions, but tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your company.
Well, I've been a realtor for almost 14 years. I got involved with Assist2Sell working for Ron Femiani out of York, and I really liked the concept, and I liked working with him. Last year, I decided to purchase a franchise in the Lancaster area and Harrisburg area, especially to focus on as like a territory for Assist2Sell. When I went out to Reno, I got my license to practice and everything through them, and it was really a great trip.
But Ryan, I knew the name's a little bit deceiving, but actually the name of your company is what?
Assist Assist2Sell.
Buyers and sellers realty, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you actually even help buyers. We'll have to get into that then, too. I didn't realize that you did that. I thought, well, from Assist2Sell, I just made the assumption right off the bat that you only help sellers. But Kingsley, they'll help you if you're buying, buddy.
All right, so why don't we start from scratch, if you will. Good morning, by the way. So Assist2Sell, I want to just paint a picture for all of the borrowers that are out there. Typically they find a realtor, and a realtor comes in, and, most people, may invite maybe 2, maybe 3 realtors in, and they'll talk amongst them and narrow it down to one that they like to list a home with.
Right, when they're thinking of selling. Yep, you're right.
So when it comes to Assist2Sell, is it the same deal where they invite you out to their home, you come out and you show them the services that you give, just like any other realtor, and help them get it sold? What is the difference between Assist2Sell and a regular realtor?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Assist2Sell is just like any other full-service real estate brokerage. The only difference is we have been saving people that huge money in commissions for right around 30 years. And we do. We actually go into each person's home individually, sit at your kitchen table. We want you to feel comfortable. You're welcome to come into one of our offices, but for us, I think it's better to go into your home and have you in your own setting so I can get a feel for what your needs are. And because we are full service, we do pretty much do every single thing that every other realtor does. The only difference is the price.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go through what your services are, because I was sort of surprised with how many things you actually do. So I'm going to sell my $250,000 house. What's the deal? Talk to me a little bit about the dollars and cents.
Okay, so in the 200 to 300 category, it's $39.95. It's a flat fee. Now that fee, you don't owe me an admin fee, no paper fee. There's nothing else attached to that. When I give you that fee, that's my full fee, everything. It's totally inclusive.
So right there, I save $3,500 probably compared to on average.
Absolutely.
Right there, thousands. Wow.
Yeah, and so just to be clear for everybody else, when we're talking about a standard real estate transaction, there's usually 2 realtors that are working on, trying to get your home sold. One, obviously advertising, making sure it's in front of everybody's eyes to see. And then 2, which obviously we can get into a little bit later with you as well, where there's realtors that help just strictly buyers, which they call buyer's agents. So with that flat fee, do the buyer's agents get paid as well, or how does that work?
Well, actually, my client would then choose how they want to pay the buyer's agent. My recommendation would be to go with the standard 3% that every realtor normally makes when they sell a home. Basically, I tell them, you're getting the discount with me. I'm the discount realtor. It's not in their venue for them to take a discount. So let's not try to take anything out of anybody else's pocket. This is just my personal. This is where I'm going with my business model. That doesn't mean that
So
John or any other realtor wants to take
just
something.
because you're being reasonable doesn't mean everybody else is being reasonable. So
that's right.
So they're saving a lot of money just by listing with you in the first place. So especially when you get into the bigger homes, obviously.
Oh yeah,
it's
thousands.
a huge.
Well, no.
amount.
Even Ryan. I know yesterday we even talked so below 200,000. It's only so if I list my house at 199, it would be what, 1995.
If it's under 133, it's 1995.
Okay.
If it's between 133 and 200, it's 29.95.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking 29.95 in my head,
Which is still almost 50% off when you think about it.
It's
Exactly.
a ton of money.
Yeah.
It's a ton of money.
And in today's market, the way it has been since you think about all those people that have bought homes in 05, 06, 07, when home values drop, people have these mortgages on the homes.
They're tight.
They're extremely tight, and they can't. A lot of them won't even list, or they'll put it on the market, but they seem a little over what the actual market value is for that particular reason. So a $400,000 home, and you're listing it, $25,000 above what you think the market value is. That can be an issue.
Ryan, I have a question for you. So maybe I want to list my house at like the $250,000, but it's because I want to get more money, which all the sellers do. But it's only worth $199,000. If my price ends up coming down, is your commission based on what ends up being the actual sale price?
Yes, because if your sale price decreases during our transaction, you only pay for what your home actually sells for.
Wow.
That's a $50,000 swing there, John.
Well,
I'm
shooting for the stars.
Yeah, you're going for it all.
That's right. I'm hoping my neighbor's house sells.
I have seen a few homes like that. Just out of curiosity, how do you handle that when you go to a listing appointment, especially in today's market? Because everybody seems to be, under the assumption of, well, how John's house sold for $400,000. If we get $450,000, let's move to Florida. Do you still, those listings?
Well,
you know that you're going to have issues with the price. Do you still have the same?
You do a CMA. You do a comparative market analysis and compare the home to other similar homes and help them arrive at a price. Correct, Ryan?
Yes, that's exactly what needs to be done. We figure out doing a CMA what particulars make their home stand out and what are the best features of their home, and compare it to one that's most like it in the MLS, and then we decide how to rationalize with the client best that what is going to be most realistic, so that they're happy with me when this goes through, so that they're like, oh, well, I'm glad I went with you and you were upfront and honest with me, and I always try to tell people, we can try to sell the house for anything you like, but in the end, it's going to bring what the market is bearing in your area.
Ryan, I've got some questions here, that people have sent in to me here. So let's just go back to that $29.95. So do I pay that to you? Like, you come to my house to list it. Do I cut you a check right then and there and pay you your money?
Oh, no, John. That actually comes in at settlement just like every other realtor.
So I'm not cutting you a check up front, because I know there are some other for sale by owner companies, and there's a couple other business models out there. When they sit down with you, they're making you cut a check. I've heard for up to $1,500.
So, no. We never take anything up front. As a matter of fact, as you're well aware, there's plenty of paper fees and fees for pushing paper in the typical industry of real estate, especially residential real estate. I don't even do any of those. It's just a simple flat fee, and that covers your everything from start to finish.
All right, let me go through some things here I've jotted down, because there's got to be a hook here. And Kingsley's my co-host is just so skeptical, buddy. He's just spinning right now. So, all right, so if you go to show my house, are you going to charge me to go show my house?
Absolutely not. That's definitely included in your fee.
What about a gas fee?
A gas fee.
Gas surcharge.
Yes, that's surcharge.
All right. Does my house go in the multi-list? Am I going to get put in the multi-list?
Absolutely. You can actually choose whether or not to put your house in the multi-list. We have our own network. Assist2Sell is a nationwide network. We call it Toolkit. And our agents can find listings that other agents can't find, kind of like a Assist2Sell MLS of our own. And sometimes when you're in a really hot area, I would even recommend leaving it out of the MLS for the first month or so to test the waters and see what kind of response we get, because sometimes we get such good response that it never even needs to hit the MLS, and I can sell it myself.
Wow. Now, is there an extra fee for that?
No, that's totally inclusive in our flat fees.
Wait. Stop. So, I come to you, I list my house, and, well, we're in a hot market in general, I think, just because of the lack of inventory.
Right.
Correct.
So, I say, you know what, let's hold off on the MLS for a month, just like you told us we should do, Ryan. and you put it out there through your network, and I'm assuming that you do, other types of marketing as well with the house.
Absolutely.
So you actually have somebody call and say, "Hey, Ryan, I saw this house on 123 Main Street. I'd love to see it." Oh, absolutely. Fabulous. So you go over and show this property, and so the buyer ends up writing a deal under you, and at the closing table, I'm selling my house for $250, right? So that's
$39.95.
$39.95.
Right.
Are we getting full price? We're getting full price. Okay.
Oh, of course we're getting full price. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're getting full price, and you're the only agent. So what do I owe for commissions?
Just the $39.95.
No 3%?
No, not if we did not multi-list the house.
Wow.
Well, and Ryan, yesterday you were telling me when we were chatting, then someone can actually stop into your office or they can call you and you can actually give them a list of homes that they can actually drive by that may not be on the multi-list.
Yes, that's correct. That would be our hot sheet. And because of our toolkit program and our nationwide Assist2Sell site, we have listings that are like those listings that we were just referring to. They're almost like pocket listings, but they're only within our network, and I can actually give people a list of the ones that are not being MLS'd right now. They can drive by and say, "Hey, I like it, I hate it, oh, wow, I have to have it." And that creates a whole different, genre of homes and inventory that people can look at.
So you're really giving the seller, in this case, a couple options. They could start off with the base fee and not put it in the multi-list, be on your hot sheet. You're still going to promote it. You're still going to put it on the internet. You're going to still get the information out there to the public. But if a realtor comes, the realtor would have to negotiate their money in from the buyer, correct? That we could do that, right?
Right. I mean, like, Assist2Sell is still going to promote it as in we have a hub, and it goes out to, Zillow and Yahoo and Trulia and HotPads and HGTV, Homes.com, Realtor.com, ListHub, Zillow. It still feeds to all these sites. That's inclusive, regardless. Those are all things that I think that are essential to help you sell your home, whether you're using the multi-list or not.
Okay, and so now you have a website too, and your website is relocatelancaster.com?
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the best number to reach you at, Ryan?
We can be reached at 717-361-0131.
All right, and you're on Facebook too, right?
We are.
And how? What's it listed under there? Just Assist2Sell?
Assist2Sell.
Okay.
Buyers and sellers realty, I believe.
Okay. So you do all of Central PA. So Lancaster, Reading, Harrisburg, Shippensburg. I mean, do you have a set boundary for those?
Well, there is a franchisee in Reading, so I can't do that, and I can't do York. But Harrisburg, Lancaster, and other areas that are outlying, Lingelstown, places that are further out that don't have an Assist2Sell in their general area that they signed on for. Yeah, I can help you with that as well.
All right, so Kingsley's still looking for the catch here. So, do you help buyers find financing if they come to look at my house?
Absolutely.
Speaking of buyers, how do you work with buyers? I mean, is it just like any other agreement with a realtor where somebody says, "Hey, Ryan, I want you to help me find a house," and you go out and you negotiate on the other side of the table at this point, and try and narrow down the search for them?
Of course, but the difference between me and the average, I guess you might say, brokerage or agent would be that up front I tell you that if you find someone else's listing and they're going to they stand to make 3% on selling you that listing, I'll sell you that same listing for 2%. So you can save 1% off the top.
As the buyer?
As the buyer.
Right. So if you sell and buy with them, so, we just said in that other example, like $3,500.
So we already saved $3,500.
If I go buy same price house with him, save another $2,500.
So now you're going to knock off a 1% off of the buyer side.
We're talking $6,000.
That's a lot of money. I can probably buy a couch with that.
Maybe and a love seat. So
now, is that the same with all buyers? I mean, let's just say, hey, Ryan, a friend of mine wants to buy a house. Can you help him out? Now, do you walk around it? Now, again, keep in mind this is all based on the seller. So not every house out there is going to save money by using you guys. And there's going to be that 6% built in. So is that just like a standard realtor transaction where you're just going to get paid 3% and represent the buyer on that end? I mean, do you do that? And how often do you work with buyers?
We work with buyers quite frequently. My standard buyer agreement is that we save them 1% off of any listing in any book they find or on the MLS or whatnot. And we cooperate with any real estate agency to help earn them that 1% because I take that 1% off of my side of the commission. So
they could even be buying a brand new home, new construction, where maybe a lot of times locally we see it at like a 2.5% commission, and you do it for 1.5%.
That's correct.
All right, in that particular case, so you're taking 1% off. Do you guys ever set it up where you give it back to maybe instead of negotiating it off the sales price, which as a buyer I'm really not going to see much of that now, which to me the most important thing is getting into the home. So, number one, I got to be pre-qualified, and number two, I'm a little tight on my cash for closing. I got these closing costs. Of course, with the negotiations, I'm sure sometimes you can have the seller sometimes pay in the negotiations. But let's just say, for example, that 1% you're knocking off, can we hold that off and say, hey, I'll kick in 1% of my commission towards closing costs?
Absolutely. We have done that before, and we're very interested in doing that as well. That's another avenue. I've even had people say to me, when I save money with Assist2Sell, I don't want the money. I want to do this or that. Like I want to take a trip, and I say, yeah, that's great. We'll schedule you a trip to Florida. Whatever makes you feel good about your experience.
That's awesome. Because there's a lot of programs now, out there, as I'm sure you know. I mean, there's 100% programs now. They're starting to tick back. I know we the mortgage company that I work for, our bank has brought out a program like that. And the whole reason for that is just for I don't want to say lack of funds, but you do have a lot of people out there that have great credit, pay their bills on time. But as you and I know, a lot of times for those people to save up enough money for purchase and closing costs, in a competitive market like it is now, seller's assist is not as frequent as it was, say, 2 years ago even, for the home. So we try to come up and tweak all these different ways and programs to come up with enough money to help people to get into homes that really do deserve it. So, you've got programs like PHFA out there, you've got Dauphin County Assist and all kinds of different bond programs that help. But at the end of the day, having that 1% could be huge on a $200,000 home.
Absolutely.
So we've got that going on. We do have assistance with our company as well. And I know other brokerages out there do the same thing where they kind of help with that little rebate, but that 1% can be a huge difference.
Absolutely. And when we work together with lenders like you that have incentive programs and programs that are designed for first-time home buyer, or even programs that allow people to put less down or, take advantage of certain circumstances that are one-time circumstances, I still contribute my 1%, and that'll help even further trying to get them in and settled. That way we can work together and try to get them saved as much as they can. After all, the goal is to basically have no one renting. I mean, renting's flushing money, right?
it's throwing money down the drain. I mean, well, you're making money for me as a landlord, and I have no problem with that. But at the end of the day, we've all gone over the numbers many times, and obviously it makes sense to buy a home rather than rent, especially over the long haul. I mean, it is the number one way to wealth in the United States.
Right. So, Ryan, I mean, you sell all types of properties, though. You sell condos, townhouses, farms, farmettes, just about anything, right?
Absolutely.
And you go just about anywhere in Pennsylvania that there's not another franchise. So you've got a pretty big open area to cover.
So I'm still kind of in this whole shock mode, okay? With the whole saving. I mean, saving that much on a seller, number one, or even a buyer for that matter. I mean, that's a lot off. I've seen this model in the past, and you think in your head, you're like, my God, I'll have to do like 100 homes to make a living this year. I mean, that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but you've been doing this for several years up until the point where you decided to buy the franchise, so you know that it works. You've seen it work. And even in down markets, I'm assuming that it keeps you busy as well. So you have this process kind of down to a science, if you will, as far as how to get it listed and make it work.
Yeah, we keep things very streamlined. And one of the things that we do that is so unique is you can list with us using some people are more comfortable using paper. We'll go in and help you sign the contract at your own kitchen table with just paper and pencil, or you can do it the modern way. We can dot loop it to you, and you can e-sign or whatnot, whatever way you're more comfortable. But we're flexible on how we do it, and that's another great part about us, because some of the older clients that we deal with would rather work with pen and paper, pencil and paper, and have that extra time taken with them, that personal time at the kitchen table, so they totally understand what they're signing on.
Yeah, I've actually run into that myself. I find it interesting where that gap lies, because now you're at the point where everything's phone app.
Everything.
Everything. So, you apply for a mortgage, you even upload your, as crazy as it sounds to, I'm sure a lot of people, upload your documents through the phone too. And then, of course, on the other end, what's a fax machine? And or a scanner, for that matter. And, of course, fax machines I don't think you could even find anymore, especially with the roll paper. But when it comes down to your business model, do you have other realtors work with you, under you, with your company? How does that work?
Sure. When I find a realtor that understands my concept and they've been mentored under us long enough that I feel like they could be an asset, then of course they can join, and we can work together closely to get them up to speed so they can feel comfortable. And I know that they're doing the right thing when they're going out to my customers, and they're showing the customer the way I would be showing them. So yeah, sure. We're looking forward to building a huge staff and getting ourselves off the ground with that as well.
Now, do you find that there's any sort of clash with the business model with a realtor under you? So let's just say, for example, I'm working with a buyer, and his name's John Rainville, and I find this house that just happens to be listed under Assist2Sell, right? And as we all know now, with the Assist2Sell model, there's a flat fee of let's say $39.95 for a $250,000 home, and I'm showing John this house. How does that work with a realtor that's technically under Assist2Sell? How does that change the contract that you have with the seller, or is that just something that's worked out internally?
That's a great question. Yeah, so Ryan, if you have an agent that's working for you, one of your agents, and they sell one of those homes that's $29.95, but it's in the MLS program, do you, at that point, does the customer get charged 3% for the buyer side?
No. You would just get charged our agent's fee. That we pay our agent at that point to sell the home, which is much lower than any other fee. Depending on at the $39.95, it's like very nominal in comparison.
So, so would the buyer pay 2%? Right. Would it be a 2% commission for your agent, or would they just participate in the $29.95 that you're going to collect?
No. For my agent, they're on a flat commission. So
okay.
That's not even an issue for the buyer or the seller. We take care of our agents on a flat commission, and they know what to expect on the intervals based on where the house fits in that flat fee program.
Gotcha. So because they're doing it in volume.
Right.
So the seller's even saving money still.
Yeah, more money.
Wow.
Yeah, potentially even more money.
Wow. So it certainly sounds like an interview with Ryan, if you're looking to sell your home, is in your best interest, at least to put the cards on the table and look at what he's got to show you. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're just saving money, basically.
Ryan, what's the best contact number for you if somebody here over the weekend would like to touch base with you and, at least set up an appointment with you to discuss either buying or selling a home?
717-361-0131.
And they can also go on your website, which is relocatelancaster.com, and see other homes and see some more information if they'd like to.
And if you're younger and you're on Facebook 90% of the time, like my daughter is, I'm sure they can probably send you an instant message online as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think his is Assist2Sell, correct?
Yes.
Yep, is the name of his Facebook page.
So there's a bunch of different ways to get a hold of Ryan.
So Ryan, do you meet much resistance, from other realtors because you are what they feel as a discounter?
Well, not really, because I try to make sure they get paid what they signed up for. If it's the 3% or whatnot, I always tell my client, you're saving the money with me. There's no reason to not pay the other realtor what you would normally pay them, because we don't want to make them not show the house or boycott the house or something like that. So now, generally we go ahead and pay them whatever the going rate is. That way we don't have that problem.
So I'm just trying to recap some of this because it's a little bit of a surprise here on it. That you actually still advertise the homes, and you don't charge them for that. You're going to show the house to prospective buyers. You even pre-qualify all the buyers.
Sure.
You're going to negotiate the purchase agreement. You're going to help them arrange financing and, oversee the inspections, handle all necessary paperwork, and supervise the closing. So you actually even attend closing. So I see here on this flyer you gave me, you said you call it full service with savings. That's definitely something for somebody to look into if they're looking to buy or sell right now. It is a hot market too. So it's basically a seller's market, so you can see where his model.
Yeah, you're saving thousands of dollars. It's a no-brainer in my opinion. Because unless you're like that scenario we brought up before, the person that says, well, why not just put the house in the market for $75 above what it probably truly is, and let it fly and see what happens.
Right.
At the end of the day, if it's priced right or anywhere near the vicinity, you're going to get looks, right? So if you've got an agency and you've got Ryan here willing to do all the same work that every other realtor is as far as listing your property, but instead of paying $7,000, you're only going to pay $35,000 or $39,000 or whatever the case may be, why not?
Right.
Because that is at least a trip down to Florida, right? That's a lot of money. It's not like we're talking $50 here and going to grab a beer down at Schmoes. It's $3,500. That's a vacation for a lot of families.
Ryan, we're in a really conservative area. You know that. How long has Assist2Sell been around?
Well, funny you mentioned that. It's been around since 1987.
Wow, it's been around longer than you.
Yeah. Let's go with that. That is, the funny thing is you think about, try to pull up your memory banks, and you don't really think about seeing Assist2Sell much from back in those days. So it has been around for a while.
Right.
And I have started to see more and more signs creeping up here and there with it. So,
right.
The idea is obviously catching on. I mean, people, I think, are inherently at least somewhat smart to realize that paying $39 as opposed to $75 is probably a good thing. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, everyone likes to save a buck, and it's it just depends on the customer, what they're looking to do. Everyone's, a lot of times they usually list with the realtor they talk to first, but I think the consumers are getting
a little more savvy and realizing that there's other options out there. Some are. It's growing.
Ryan, we were talking yesterday, and you said that you were out on a listing appointment. And how many realtors did you say they interviewed?
I believe it was 8 different realtors.
8. Now, what are you going to get with the 7th as opposed to the 1st?
I guess it depends on what kind of a plan the first guy came out with, or out of all those people they interviewed, how their plan was and how they approached it, and maybe they were just looking for someone that had a better organizational setup and was more confident about how they handled their property, and it just sounded like they were fishing for this person that was going to present it the way that they wanted to hear it presented.
Now, I'm assuming you got the listing on that property.
Well, the verdict's out on that for right this second. They still had some renovations left to do to the property, but I would surely hope they'd want to save thousands of dollars by going with Assist2Sell.
Well, I'll tell you right now, as co-host of Real Estate Radio Guys, if those people are listening, I wholeheartedly give my dub of the Ryan to list the home for them, because it certainly makes a lot of sense. So you can send them a link to this radio show after the fact, and hopefully it puts them in the right direction.
So, Ryan, let's go, because I think you may get some calls today. So your best contact number I have is 717-361-0131. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then the website today, www.relocatelancaster.com. And your email is what, in case they want to email you?
RyanT@assist2sell.com.
Wow, that's simple.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, hey, buddy, we really appreciate you coming on the show and, investing your time with us here this morning, because I think our listeners learned a lot. I learned a lot. How about you?
I did.
I mean, Big Dog might not even hire his wife now. He's when he goes to sell. Look at him. He's laughing back there.
So she.
All right, Ryan, buddy, you have a great day. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks, Ryan.
John, Kingsley, thanks for everything.
Interesting,
right?
Very interesting.
I mean, I've always wondered.
I've always been very skeptical.
I've just wondered what they did. But, I mean, I looked through everything, and, there you see his material. I mean, wow.
Oh, I've seen it all. We asked them. At the end of the day, I guess if I'm a seller, and if I'm interviewing 8 people, I guess, or even 3, and I've got a $400,000 house, okay, well, that's $24,000 in commissions, right?
And if you're going to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you're saving a lot of money. Like I said, it
could be huge.
Even $3,500 or $3,000 is a lot of money for somebody.
Right.
So it sounds like Where's Waldo got lost somewhere in the framework of the phone system, because we are going to have him come on.
Yes,
Mr.
of course.
John
Our favorite home inspector, John Stas from EnviroQuest, will be on here this morning, and he's got a mystery topic. Do you have an idea what that might be?
Ooh, see, now you're actually testing my theories. Hold on. I think John's going to talk about how to get sand out of your house.
How to get sand out of your house.
Right. Because, this is beach time, right?
Right.
So when you come home from the beach, what's the one thing that finds its way everywhere?
Well, usually it's tough to get it out of your car. I mean,
it's in your car, but it's in your towels. So when you go inside and you open up your towels in your suitcase, sand ends up in the bathroom, in the laundry room, in the drain, because you know how you have sand in your hair for like a week after the beach?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's my topic.
So while we're waiting for John to call back in, talk to me a little bit more about rates. Rates are still very good. Yes, they spiked them up because of the holiday.
Yes, they're going to come back down to everybody, stop the panic mode, and they do the same thing every year, and it's the same with every other holiday. We're closed for basically a nice long weekend. We can say we're open on Monday, but everybody knows we're really not.
So it's just a protection mode.
It really is.
They do.
It really is. It'll sink back down by midweek next week.
How are mortgage applications doing? Are we running about where we were last year?
Actually, they're up.
They're up.
Yeah, which is good. Inventory's down, but we're also seeing. I had a friend list a home. It was sold in 2 days.
Wow.
Which is amazing. But that just seems to be the trend. So there's definitely a lot more buyers that are either in the process of getting pre-qualified or qualified.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of offers go in on homes where they're not getting the bids. They're not winning, even at full. So we're in a very competitive market right now as far as buying homes. And I know we brought this up before. Out west, it's actually close to the same levels that it was in 2007.
Wow.
In Los Angeles, as far as value-wise. So it certainly recovered the values. And I start to see, I think, in our little area here that it's starting to do the same.
Are you seeing much about appraisal issues from your side, from the lender side?
No. Not recently.
Okay. So very nominal.
Yeah, now keep in mind with our company, we don't have any overlays, and we're a very make sense type of lender. So, if we have, I don't want to say a fight, but an agreement or an argument to say this is worth something, the underwriters are certainly going to listen. It just has to make sense. And that's, when we're in that up phase of the market, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, I haven't heard, for any of the county assistance programs, I haven't heard any of them running out of money. They all seem to be that seems to still be flowing.
Well, keep in mind the volume's still down comparatively from years past. The market's just starting to show signs of life, and I think this is going to spur, I don't want to say crazy action, but I foresee over the next couple of years people are going to start turning and buying homes and getting in the market and selling and feeling more comfortable. I think people are just comfortable with the market in general.
We're definitely seeing more investors return to the market. The commercial arena is definitely picking up.
Yes. Now, the other thing is with that, investor-wise, inventory is run low for the flippers, right? You still have your big groups out there. Not going to name them. I had one in our development that sat there for over a year. They finally started to get to, so they had a nice little bit of inventory saved up. But even that particular portion of the segment market is going to be limited, I think, over the next year. People are going to have to start investing in something else. You're going to have to get into the buy and hold, or at least the areas are going to change, which might be good for the rundown areas, like maybe parts of Hazleton.
Yeah, definitely. I think. It must be Home Inspector John Stas.
Oh my gosh, John! Is John out there?
Good morning, guys.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing this morning?
Good. Well, you know, it's one of those days where, you know, my laptop decided it wanted to take the weekend off, so we've been having technical difficulties with our Facebook feed. But, hey, you know, it's a wonderful day in Carlisle. We're still living the dream, right, Kingsley?
We're definitely living the dream.
All right.
So
life goes onward.
Where is Waldo this evening? Is he in the Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands? Because I understand you may have gone down there to do an inspection, because the last I heard, Brokers Realty was getting ready to open an office down in the Cayman Islands. So
yeah, exactly. And I got to do the inspection on the
right,
office
exactly. So we're going to have to send you down and a couple people down just to make sure the site is safe and doable. Yeah.
Yep.
You will need to take a handful of inspectors down there just to make sure.
Exactly, and I'll be dubbed some sort of inspector for the week, I hope.
Yeah, you'll need to come too.
Appreciate that. I'll be deputized. So what is our mystery topic of the week?
Well, the mystery topic, building on what we talked about last week, which was maintenance of AC units and how to keep them running properly and service and whatnot. We're going to build on that with a problem that affects a lot of people that have a two-story home, being that the second floor can overheat during the summer, and just some of the causes and some of the solutions for that. Being a home inspector, a lot of times we find, especially in older homes and especially in two-story homes that may not have proper insulation, we'll find the second floor will get real hot on weather such as we're having now during the summer. And they have central air installed, but it's just not working properly. So one of the things that we check for is we look at the returns. It's real easy to heat a home with just supplying heat to that area, but with the AC, it'll only get as cool as fast as the air can be returned back to the unit to be recooled. So one of the things that we find is like a second floor room will have a supply, and then when we shut the door to the room, there's no return in that room, and it'll heat up, maybe 20 degrees warmer than the first floor, even though it's being supplied with that cool air.
So, John, though, in like a normal two-story home, and you have the AC because your thermostat's downstairs, and you have it set at, say, 72, the upstairs would normally be at least a couple degrees warmer, correct?
Yeah, it would be a couple degrees warmer, but one of the things we'll find is there's some methodologies to, let's say the house was retrofit, and, ideally you want to have equal supply and return air. So let's say there wasn't a good place to run a return up through a closet, so it's lacking return air on the second floor. Some of the solutions we find would be they'll put a pass-through duct above the doorway to, let's say, that bedroom that I was talking about that was overheated. So that way the air, you can still have privacy in that room, but the air will make it over top of the door to get back to the unit, to the main return on the first floor, so it can be recooled. Another thing we'll see a lot of times they'll do is, especially if it's hardwood floors, it doesn't work quite as well with carpet, but they can undercut the doors like 3/4 of an inch so that return air can get back to the unit under the door. So like a homeowner test or a homeowner tip, if you're having this problem and you're like, hey, I have AC, but it's still really hot on my second floor, is try opening the door to that bedroom or the room that's overheated. And if it gets cool when you open the door, that means that possibly one of the solutions for you might be to, either undercut the door or put that pass-through duct over top of the door.
So basically you're just equalizing the pressure to allow the air back into the main living area, which then obviously feeds through whatever the main return is. So
exactly.
With that particular scenario, let's say, you're saying the more insulation you have above the second floor could be an issue as well.
Yeah, that's another thing we find. especially in Cape Cod style homes that have the knee walls, we find a lot of times, the insulation techniques that they used in the 50s and 60s, 40s when these houses were built is inadequate, and we find that there's not enough insulation on the back of that knee wall area that in the Cape Cod style, or not enough insulation in general. Cape Cods are kind of tricky to get proper ventilation and insulation, getting that balance of insulation and ventilation in the attic area. But, doing the home inspection, we find this a lot. And, we carry the little thermometers, and we'll check the wall temperatures to see what's going on. And we find this a lot.
So just get one of those machines and just blow an extra 10 inches of insulation up there. It'll fix everything, right?
Yeah, sometimes it's that, and sometimes ventilation part of it is sometimes we find that the insulation's not installed in the proper area. So you have walls that actually will have no insulation that should be insulated, such as like that knee wall area in a Cape Cod style home. Another thing we look for during the home inspections, it's advertised in the listing, hey, it's got central air. So we go up on the second floor and we find there's window units. So it's like, why do you need a window unit if you have second or central air? So you look at that as well. It's an indication that it may not be functioning properly.
So here's a question for you. Hypothetically, then, you've got a let's say a townhome situation or a home that was built, maybe back in the earlier days in the 80s, and you have a roof, let's say, that isn't vented properly. So you've got a hot roof on a hot summer day, and normally on a house you'll see, like those vents on either side of the attic that allow air to pass in or pass out. Could that be an issue causing the second floor to be hotter or not? Or does it matter that there's enough insulation in that scenario?
Sure. Yeah, that's another, like you talked about, the gable vents on the ends. And then, a lot of times these older homes that were built in the 50s and 60s, the roof wears out, they replace the roof. And at that time they'll put, let's say, a ridge vent or other vents to make up for the lack of ventilation. Also, we talked about this before, but the metal roofing that has the reflective coatings and the snow and ice shield, the new products that will help to turn those, the rays from the sun, to turn the spectrum of rays that hit the roof and reflect them back to stop the roof area or the attic area from getting as hot in the first place. So even several ways to approach it.
Even though it's metal and you'd think it would get hotter, it actually works.
Cat in a hot tin roof.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, John, as usual with any of these forced air systems, one of the places the homeowner should also start is checking that filter too, correct? And put in the, one of the filters like the blue, it looks like fiberglass type filters, has a lot of flow to it.
Yeah, the one like you have in your house, the boulder catcher we talked about.
Yeah, I still have that.
You still have
my best. I'm just cheap that you just rinse it out, but I guess I probably am shooting pebbles through there.
Yeah, well, the dollar store isn't good for everything, I guess.
Yeah, definitely check your filter, make sure the filter is clean. Sometimes we do a home inspection. It's like, hey, it's got not proper cooling, and the filter's real dirty, and that solves the problem right there.
Hey, John, I'm testing all aspects, though. I'm trying to get my outside air conditioner unit at least like 6 inches out of level. I just want to really test it.
So
you want to push the limits.
I want to push the limits. I just want to see how good that warranty is.
So when John's AC stops working and it all of a sudden is 85 as opposed to 70 degrees in his house, what's the best number to call if they need to figure out, hey, maybe John has a few ideas on why this isn't working? Aside from the AC guy, what's the best number to get a hold of you?
Sure, best number is 717-233-6144.
And online?
Online, evqharrisburg.com.
And as well as Facebook. And now, Del, do you accept Facebook messages, like instant messages?
Sure. I believe it's set up for that. Yeah, we get Facebook messages. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to let people know that, because I think in today's society it's much easier to message somebody or text somebody than it is to call. I don't know what the deal is, but...
Yeah, I know.
We do it from all angles. Home inspections. We can text you your home inspection. We can email it to you.
Perfect.
So,
hey, buddy.
We'll get it to you one way or the other, or several ways.
Have a fabulous 4th of July weekend. Hopefully you're not working too hard. Keep it limited to a case a day of beer. And obviously, hopefully everybody's AC is working.
Thanks, John. We'll talk to you next week,
Hey,
buddy.
thanks, guys. You guys have a great weekend, and Kingsley will book that trip soon.
Yes, we will.
And now the pressure's on.
Pressure's on the
broker. I'm in the hot seat.
See you, John.
Okay, we'll see you.
See you, John. So, some upcoming shows. We're going to do a show with our auctioneer, my auctioneer of records, Sarah Smith Katz.
Fabulous.
So we're opening up an auction company called Brokers Auctions. And we're going to do real estate auctions. We're going to do, personal things. We'll do households. We'll do fine art. We'll do antiques. We don't have an actual auction house, but we will do them on site. We'll do commercial properties.
What about like I have a collection of Pez dispensers?
We could do that.
Nice. We have one coming up where we're going to have an underwriter on our show. It's going to answer some of the tough questions that a lot of people just don't get the opportunity to ask. As always.
Well, thanks, first of all, for getting your real estate on with us today. And it's
real questions,
real answers,
real people.
Thanks. Till next week.
Happy 4th of July, folks.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Radio Guy with real estate broker John Rainville. Listen each week at this time and learn all about buying and selling, mortgages, market conditions, property maintenance, and much more. It's brought to you by GSF Mortgage Corporation, EnviroQuest Inspections, and SearchHomesInPA.com. It's the Real Estate Radio Guy, Saturday mornings at 8 on Oldies 102.9 and AM 960 WHYL.
The one and only Morning Sunshine on Oldies 102.9 WHYL.
WHYL. Joe Ricky plays good time oldies. WHYL.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Street one day, a pretty lady looked at me and said her diamond watch had stopped cold dead. And I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care? So I can't imagine down the street one